Hey, what's happening, everybody? Dano here. I'm going to go over all this junk on this table for the upcoming eclipse. We're under a month away now. I was going to make a series of videos covering this, but I ran out of time, and so I'm just going to kind of stuff it all in one video. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. I'm going to take this rig right here, primarily. I'm going to use the Skywatcher Solar Quest, and then I'm going to take the ZWO Sea Star. I'm going to try to do a time lapse with that. And with that, it's just kind of set it and forget it. And with this setup right here, I'm going to have an intervalometer. And when the eclipse does happen, I'll probably be just watching it and hitting the shutter button and just, taking it all in. Because originally I was going to use my ZWO cameras and an ASI Air, my normal deep sky rig. I don't need to mess with all that stuff. If something goes wrong and you're fiddling with your iPad or whatever, trying to change settings, and so I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. I'm going to use this, and hopefully the weather cooperates, and then I can get a better image than I did with this camera right here. Because I experienced the 2017 total eclipse in southern Illinois, and this is all I had at the time. I had not yet gotten into astrophotography or landscape or deep sky or any of that stuff. I had no DSLRs, no lenses, anything. This was it. And this thing actually took some decent pictures. So if this is all you have is something like a little digital camera with a zoom on it, I mean, it's better than what you could get with your phone. But really, just seeing it with your own eyes and experiencing it is it's kind of life changing. So if you live anywhere close to the path, I would highly recommend driving to the path, inside the path, not just outside of it, but like really, you need to get inside the path to experience it, because it's just not the same thing. We had the annular eclipse in October, and I think it covered like 64%. Now the light did dim here, and it got maybe a little bit cooler, but it's nothing like being inside the path of a total solar eclipse. So, uh, with all that rambling, I'm sure I'll do some more. I'm going to go over this gear I'm using. I'm going to go over this little homemade solar filter I made, and I'm going to go over some of the apps I've been using on my phone to kind of plan the eclipse out. And then, as you know, don't forget your solar glasses. If you don't have any of this stuff, the best time to order it is right now. So far, I'm seeing everything in stock, but it'll probably start disappearing, and you won't be able to find this stuff anywhere. For the one in 2017, we actually went into Walmart, and I think I bought 2 astronomy magazines that said free solar glasses inside, and that was last minute. And I have seen these in some convenience stores and stuff. They'll have a little box on the by the register, so you may be able to get lucky and find some last minute. But I'd highly recommend ordering this stuff now if you can find it. So my original plans were to use this Canon 400 millimeter f5.6 and this DSLR, the Canon T7i. I made this filter that fits on top of the lens hood for the annular eclipse back in October. I ended up building out a complete high solar imaging rig. I wanted to get a dedicated scope for that. I got this Astrotech AT72 ED Mark II from astronomics.com, and this is a great little scope. And so I use this with my Daystar, and then if I want to do just regular solar imaging, I can just slide my DSLR in here. I bought an SV Bony adapter, and there's another little T-ring adapter right there. All you'll need is something like this, but I actually have 2 pieces. See if I can take this thing off. I have a T-ring with this extender built on, And so I'll put that in there. I just put that in there like that. And then I take this SV Boney adapter and just slide it on. Get it nice and tight. And then just slides right into the scope. Make sure it's nice and flush. That's it. That's good enough. So I'm going to throw this along with an intervalometer, and I'm going to use the Skywatcher Solar Quest, and that should track the sun. I know in my last video I made on this thing, people are asking, well, you think it'll track the eclipse? And I kind of think it will. It's still the brightest thing in the sky. You can actually see some planets and some bright stars during totality, but it's still the brightest thing in the sky. So I think it'll track, but I'm not 100% sure on that, but hopefully we'll get to find out. This telescope, this lens is 400 millimeters. This telescope is 430 millimeters at f6. So it's a good field of view. It's not really zoomed in on the sun, but it's kind of forgiving to where, you know, if this thing's not tracking properly, or if it does stop tracking during the eclipse for some odd reason, I can just adjust the controls on here and put it back into the center easier than I could probably with a ball head. So, and that's the route I'm going. And instead of using batteries, I'll charge this thing up and set it in this tray, plug everything in, and I should be good to go. I actually bought this filter on Amazon for this telescope, and it had some so-so reviews. A lot of people were saying it would not fit their telescope. I've kept it in the plastic because I don't want to damage the filter, but I tried it on mine and it fits just fine. So this is a 72 millimeter objective. I'm going to undo these screws. I may have to come all the way out with them. So it does fit, but it's pretty tight. So if you had like an 80 millimeter scope, this thing may not work. Yep, that's it. I'm not gonna put it on really tight, and probably right before totality, I'll just loosen it up. I think the sun's gonna be pretty high in the sky, so the scope should be, you know, aiming more upwards than level. And what I'll do is I'll end up kind of loosening it and then just be ready to take it off for totality. But so I'll put a link to this if I can find this exact one, if it's still in stock. But it's pretty decent. I made this filter for this lens in particular. So if you go this route, I've heard this pronounced. I mean, I've always said Bader, but it is two A's, and I think it's German, so maybe it's Bader.
Luke, I am your Bader.
The Bader Planetarium. This is a solar safety film, and this is only like, it's got it in millimeters, but it's like maybe like 6 by 6 inches. And you really, I mean, all I did was I just trimmed the edges and made it fit this box, and then I put some masking tape down, and then I took the lens hood and a pin, and on this edge right here, I cut with an X-Acto knife just inside the circle of the diameter of the lens hood, and then I made these perforated tabs. And so when let me just do this, extend that right there, and you want it to be pretty tight. So if it's too tight, you can adjust the tabs. You can cut in a little deeper, but and see, if I go too far, it slips over the little lip. So I have to be careful just to set it right on the edge of this lip right here. So I just barely push it on here. That's not very even. How about that? Still not. Right there. So you'll want this thing to be snug because you don't want it falling off and frying your camera. So it's not going anywhere. But if you cut those tabs too deep, it'll be too loose. So I would say start small and then just cut the slits just a little bit and then try it and try it. And that's what I did. I just kept cutting a little bit deeper each time, and then it pops right on and it's snug. It's not going anywhere. Um, I don't know if I'll take this or not because it's really I could use this and my other DSLR and a tripod, but I think this is going to be too much to mess with. I'm just going to focus on this one rig and maybe film some stuff with my phone in the background, like wherever we are, the scenery and stuff like that. But if you need to make a solar filter, and there's several videos online about this, uh, if you have some of these boxes, like these DWO boxes laying around that you got a guide camera or a telescope, guide camera or a guide scope, the electronic focuser, any of that stuff, these are really actually great. I mean, as long as you're not trying to put it on like a huge telescope because that's just not big enough. But like for lenses, this is awesome, and it's an easy fix. I just took the film and laid it on here. Try not to touch it at all, just the edges because I knew I was going to cut those off, and then I just kind of cut the edges on it, and then I use some masking tape and tape it up to make sure it's sealed and there's no light coming in whatsoever. So yeah, that's just a simple, quick, easy fix for a solar filter if that's all you can find. Now the one I showed you earlier, if you can find that on Amazon, um, it's you know you don't have to make one. I got these solar glasses. They're Bader Planetarium, and I got the 5 pack. And then I also realized I had another one that came with my Daystar, and they are what's the number? They're ISO. Need new bifocals. Can't even read that. 12312 2 certified, and so they're safe if they have that printed on them. But this is a 5 pack, and I think this was like $26 or $25 or something. I got these from Agena Astro, and I also got this solar film from Agena Astro, and this stuff is pricey. So if you're going to make a homemade filter like this, um, definitely want to get the box cut out right. I took the lens hood for this side, and then I took the lens cap for this side. So I just made the hole on this side as big as the lens objective, the cap, and then on this side I actually used the lens hood and cut those little perforated tabs in here so it wouldn't be a nice fit on there and it'd be nice and snug. Uh, this thing, the only thing about that is it's not really easy to pull off, and that's kind of what I want. I went with the other filter for this one. It has the little screws on there, and I can just pop it off pretty easily without knocking this mount around. So I'm probably going to go that route. But this has worked, and if that's all you can find, just make it work. So the main thing I'm trying to do with that rig is keep it as simple as possible. Um, I fiddled with the camera back in 2017 a little bit, but I really couldn't adjust the setting as it was just automatic. But I was messing with the zoom, going closer, coming back, zooming back out, and um, you really want to experience as much as this thing as you can. So, and I forgot to show the intervalometer, but I'm gonna try to keep this as simple as possible, and I'm gonna be watching the sky, watching the eclipse, and just hitting the shutter button. Uh, I'm going to go use bracketing, which I've never used before after seeing a few videos on it. And what that's going to do is it's going to take several different exposures. And so if I don't have my exposure dialed in just right, it'll take several different ones, and hopefully I'll have something to work with out of that. Now I'm going to go over some of the apps that I've been using, and it's really just three. It's three apps that I'm using to plan this out. So let's take a look at those. So the first app, and it's free, it's called Totality, and I've been using this one a lot. I think this Nico talked about this on one of his earlier videos. And what's cool about this is you can go hit the very top tab, and I'll see if this goes on landscape. No, it doesn't. But you can go over past eclipses, and then also you can hit this more future eclipses, and it'll take you to this website, and it'll tell you um, like total or hybrid solar eclipses. And honestly, so we are 28 days away from the one in April. We're 28 days away. And then if you look in the United States, that's it. This goes up to 2039. There's no more. So this one's really important to me. I want to, take the experience I've gained over the last few years and hopefully capture a great photo. We'll see. I'm not going to stress about it. I'll just get what I can get. But I'm mainly using this app for planning. So we know it's coming up through Mexico, and it's going into Texas. It's going to pass by Austin and Dallas, and it's going to cross in Arkansas, Texarkana, Hot Springs, Little Rock, up through the Ozarks, and that's going to go into Missouri, Cape Girardeau, Sykeston, and it's going to cross into the same spot it was in 2017, which is Carbondale, Illinois. So that's where we went last time, but I'm going to use a different approach this time. So this app will tell you where you want to be inside the path of totality, and that's really what I'm using it. So let's say you go to Mayfield, Kentucky. Well, you're just outside the path. You're only going to get 99.6%. So you have to get inside the path. You'd have to go over here to Paducah. But when you're on the outer edge like that, and this app's going to tell you you're going to get less time. So the total solar eclipse in Paducah is only going to be 1 minute and 33 seconds. Whereas if you just drive on over to Carbondale, you're going to get 4 minutes and 9 seconds of totality. So you don't have to be right on that center line, but the closer you can get, like Cape Girardeau is probably going to be pretty good. 4 minutes and 6 seconds in Cape Girardeau. You want to be as close to that line as you can get. And this is what I've really been using this app for, is kind of scouting locations. So, okay, let's say I end up driving to Cape Girardeau. I had to click over a little bit, and it's going to tell me the eclipse is going to last 4 minutes and 6 seconds. It's going to start at 12:41 Central Time. Totality is going to be at 2 o'clock, and it's going to last 4 minutes and 6 seconds. And then the very end is going to be 15:17, so 3:17 Central Time. The next app I'm going to talk about is SET, a Solar Eclipse Timer. This is a pretty cool app, and you can run like a sequence of an eclipse and listen. So you can go back and pick one, say the one back in 2017, and it'll do a test mode, and it'll announce all the like first contact, second contact, and other people have gone over this app. He has a great YouTube tutorial on it. At the very top, he has a tutorial, and then you can do a device sound check. You'll want to allow notifications so it can talk to you and all that stuff. And you go here and you select an eclipse. Is that the third option down? Yeah, select an eclipse to time. and you can buy the one in April. It's $1.99. The app's free, and you can test it out and see if you like it. Uh, I'm thinking about doing it. Um, it'll be nice to just set this thing down, and he comes on and says, "Second contact," and you'll know when to take your filter off and stuff like that. But if you use that totality app, you can also just kind of look and see when it's going to start, when it's going to end, and how long it's going to last, and kind of go like that. But that'll be another, thing you're having to keep up with is the time. But that's probably worth the $2 purchase. And I may end up getting this and practicing. Um, so that's really all I'll be using it for is the announcements, when to take the filter off, and trying to capture the diamond ring and Bailey's beads, which I could not do with the Canon PowerShot, but I can at least try to make an attempt with the DSLR. The third app, and a really important one in my planning process, I'm going to be using is called Astrospheric, and I use this app all the time. Really great app. I think this only works in the United States, so if you're coming from another country to see this thing, you can download this app and use it here. So I have mine set for Dallas, which the eclipse is going to go through, and I'm going to use this to determine where I'm going this time. Last time we just drove up to Missouri and stayed in Sikeston, and then drove to Illinois. There were some clouds that came through, and I don't know, probably blocked the sun for maybe half of totality. It was blocked by a big cloud. Now, what I'm going to do is probably the Friday or Saturday before the eclipse, I'm going to open this thing up, and I'm going to look all along the path here, from Texas to Arkansas to Missouri to Illinois, Indiana. And I'm going to look at the weather. I'm going to look at the clouds. And this will actually let you go into the future and give you a rough, prediction. So let's say we're going to go Dallas. It's Sunday. No, sorry, excuse me. It's Monday. While I'm recording this, I'm going to hit get new forecast. And then tonight, it's going to be clear in Dallas. Tomorrow, let's say the eclipse is going to happen around 12. Well, you got some clouds tomorrow, and you can kind of see how they're going to move. Now, there's a little window there where it's just on the outskirts. So that, if you got lucky and that was accurate, that would work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to gauge where I'm going. I'm going to zoom out, and I took a snapshot the other day of, it's spring here in the South, and we get these overcast days, and they can last for like all week. And I zoomed out and I looked at the cloud coverage, and it was basically the whole east side of the United States was covered in clouds. So if we have a day like that, I mean, there's really nothing you can do. But when I go to leave my house, I am going to check this app, and I am going to determine where I'm going based on the cloud prediction, and hope that it's accurate. That's kind of how I'm going to plan my drive. And luckily, I don't have to fly anywhere. I'm close enough to where I can just drive. So that's Astrospheric weather app, and I think this is going to come in really handy. And I'll be checking it a couple days before the eclipse to determine where I'm going. So that's kind of my tentative plan. Is I'm going to check the weather, and then I'm going to drive in the direction of the most clear skies I can get. Last time we just winged it. We just drove up there and found a hotel that actually had, and it was outside the path, that had vacancy, and then drove 2 hours over to the path. And that's kind of what I'm going to do this time. I started looking at Airbnbs a few months ago. Anywhere in the path of totality is 5 times the price of normal. I looked at cabins in the Ozarks in Arkansas, and they were going for like $3,000 to $4,000 for 2 nights, which is ridiculous. I looked at Branson, Missouri, which is outside the path, and you get a nice cabin for, two, 300 a night. So this staying inside the path is out of the question for me now. So, and which that kind of helped. I was like, well, what if I would have found a place in Arkansas and then Arkansas is completely covered in clouds? I'd have to get up and drive anyway. So I'm gonna do it like this. I even saw a campsite for $600 for 2 nights. It's pretty ridiculous that they're gouging like that, but I mean that's what people do because this is a special event. I'm going to just wing it on as far as where I'm going. Hopefully, can find a hotel outside the path somewhere. I know it's going to be a lot of people. There's people coming from all over the world to see this thing, and Quiv's coming from Japan. I'm sure there are people coming from Europe. Um, I'm going to get as close as I can to the path. Probably get a hotel, maybe camp somewhere if we can find a campsite. There are some festivals going on that are in the path. I've looked at those as well, but I'm just going to kind of wing this thing, and hopefully I can find like a local city park or something like that to set up my gear and take the photos. So that's my plan as of right now. I'm just gonna just wing this thing and hopefully find a spot and get set up. I'll tell this story real quick before I wrap it up. When we drove into Southern Illinois in 2017, we were going towards Carbondale, and we got to this field. It was just country roads, nothing around and stuff. We got to this field, and then all of a sudden we saw cars everywhere. They were parked in this field, and there was no parking anywhere. I couldn't find anywhere to park. It was like it was packed. It was crazy. And so what we ended up doing was turning around and went back a few miles, and we found a little spot on the side of the road, and we pulled over. And before the eclipse began, we had like 20 to 30 cars pulled up beside us. And so, I mean, we were by ourselves. And then a few minutes later, we had a crowd. So, anticipate the traffic is probably going to be nuts for this thing. Um, there's nothing you know about that, but I'll be taking some side roads if I have to. So I'm excited for this thing. If you've never experienced an eclipse, I, you've got to see this. I mean, it's unreal. Uh, Seeing pictures of it is one thing, and I do want to get some good pictures. But just being there in the moment, experiencing it, whether you're by yourself or with a crowd, um, it's an awesome thing. And I just got the most recent issue of Astronomy magazine, and I think the next one coming in the United States close to here again is in 2045. So, if I'm still alive then, who knows? I'll be in my late 60s. So this may be it. I mean, over the next decade or so, there's going to be quite a few in Australia. I think there's some in Africa. But I mean, I don't know if, I mean, I'd like to be able to pack up and fly over there and check that stuff, see an eclipse in another country, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So, um, I've been lucky to live within driving distance of the last two. And if the skies are clear enough, it's just a short, 4 hour drive from me and I'll be there. So, but yeah, uh, as far as, getting a good photo, I'm going to try to have this stuff as automated as possible so I don't miss the experience. I'm going to use that intervalometer. I'm going to set up bracketing. I'm going to test all this stuff too in the upcoming weekends. I'm going to set this rig up and I'm going to practice and hopefully get everything dialed in because I mean it's only going to last about 4 minutes and that's it. So yep, I just wanted to go over that real quick. I wish I could have took more time and made this more detailed, but I had to make this one kind of quick and ugly like me. But yeah, I'll be back hopefully making some more videos about astrophotography and other gear, and I'll also come back and probably do a video on the solar eclipse as well. Hopefully, I'll get to film some stuff on that. So, all right, if you're going, I hope you have clear skies out there and We'll see you next time. Take it easy.